Well, big welcome to Dick Muir, former Springbok coach and very, very busy man who's obviously well known in the rugby world. So, Dick, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. And I want to start off with obviously that you coached the Springboks, but I think one could say it's arguably the highest coaching role one could ever get or achieve, regardless of what nationality you are.
Yeah, probably one better would be coaching the British and Irish Lions. I suppose that would be the only one that would go one higher than coaching your national side.
Yeah, true, absolutely true. But it's been such an interesting one, and Rassie Erasmus has done a great job, obviously winning the World Cup, etc., etc. We've playing a really good brand of rugby. But how important do you think it's been for his continuation to stay on as like the director of rugby now for South Africa?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure what the sort of rationale was, but for somebody like Rassie, he'd achieved everything that he obviously wanted to achieve, and then to hand on the reins to somebody else and still be involved, I suppose is the best one could do, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. But now it's interesting times for Jacques Nienheimer. How do you think he's feeling right now?
Yeah, so one of the things that you taught when taking on a coaching job is always to take it on when it's near the bottom and not take it on when it's right at the top of the pile, because you can only go one way from there. So he's taken it on in a very gutsy sort of way, but he was part of the coaching staff. So yeah, it's there's not much of an upside that he can achieve other than continuing where they are at the moment. So yeah, it is a proper challenge.
And would you feel he's got the same sort of, I'd say, coaching philosophy as Rassie Erasmus? Are they similar, or do you think there's two different people there in terms of their coaching style?
Yeah, they're very similar. They work together. I remember Rassie coaching Rassie and having Jacques as part of the physio or the management when we were at the Cats many, many years ago. And they've traveled a long road since those days. So they've shared many different coaching roles, with Jacques being the assistant and Rassie probably being the head coach or in different roles, but they would share very similar coaching philosophies, and I think they've both learned from each other.
Yeah, definitely. I know you touched on it earlier, how he's sort of maybe starting at the bottom, but do you feel it's a good pressure that Jacques Nienheimer is under, in the sense that he's number one and what a test, the British and Irish Lions? Is he going to handle that pressure? Is it a good pressure, from one could call it?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be feeling the pressure too much. I think he's got a good squad of players. He was part of the management that Rassie had. So there's more. It's a continuation of what they've been there, done that. So it's just a different challenge. I think the challenge that they faced with now is pretty unique. Having been there in 2009 with the British and Irish Lions campaign, it certainly was it was a level up, and it was the ultimate sort of challenge that one could have. You sort of have three stages. You ultimately look to beating the All Blacks as a coach. You achieve that, then you look to winning the Tri-Nations, the World Cup. But ultimately, the British and Irish Lions is a big one.
Definitely. Now,
probably in context, I'd probably like to say that the one bigger than the British and Irish Lions would be the World Cup. So maybe for Jacques, it's not as big as what we had it, at the time.
Yeah, it must be, because there is a lot of hype built around it. It's such a long time, 12 years, and you mentioned 2009. It's a long wait, perhaps, where World Cups every 4 years, but I do understand where you're coming from. It's an interesting one. Now, 2009 was immense. It was extremely physical. It was rough and tough, and there's lots of videos on it, and as how intense it was. Did you ever think that series would be as intense as it was, Dick?
Yeah, it was, it was something that I remember at the time thinking, everyone's making a massive issue around this whole tour that's coming and this challenge that you have, and we had such a great a group of players that I didn't sort of put in perspective the enormity of the situation. What was a real eye opener was when we got into the coaching box before the first test match, and you just saw the sea of red on the other side of the stadium, and you sort of wow, you sort of coaching a team away from home nearly. You were sort of more the underdog than the home side. So yeah, it was massive. It really was massive.
Yeah. But that physicality, and we say it's a South African thing. Is it purely a South African thing, Dick, where the guys are just physical and just get stuck in, or is it something that's sort of gradually coached through the years?
Yeah, I think the players themselves, the players just love a challenge. So the bigger the challenge, the more the sort of leaders stand up and the individual stands up and fronts up to the situation. So from a South African perspective, the physicality has never been that much of a challenge. I think here is you've got certain other nuances that come with the situation where you've got specialists and experts in their own field, guys that have been successful in their own teams, international teams, that are now able to express themselves alongside other players that are equally good, if not better than what they are. So it is a one-up step for them as well.
Yeah, I know it's going to be great, really, really great. But looking at, if we want to compare then till now, do you seeing it as being almost a repeat of that physicality happening in, or is it going to be based more on skills and a set game plan? So there's not going to be those bone crunching tackles, I can call it that. Is it going to be more a skill show?
Well, I tell you what, I've been very encouraged by, just watching some of the Northern Hemisphere rugby. I think they've sort of moved up a level from a skill perspective. I think they attacking and exploiting space a lot more than what we've been doing. I think the level of coaching is also stepped up significantly. So yeah, it's going to present itself with a different sort of challenge.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. And talking about a challenge, and I know we touched on it a bit earlier, but we're a very proud nation in terms of rugby, and we have to basically win every competition there is. It's sort of a high expectation. But does it ever play on the players' minds, the ranking, whether we first, fourth, second, whatever it is? Does it play on the players' minds at all, or are they just worried about the current fixture that's on hand?
Yeah, I think it sort of plays in the back of their minds. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. I think each game presents its own challenge. So each test match, one's just got to deal with it as it comes. So I think a Lions tour coming to South Africa every 12 years, presents a different challenge, and that challenge is what the guys will embrace. There'll be changes, with personnel. There've been injuries already, so the not having spectators in the stadium is going to be different. Not having this massive red sort of following that the Lions are used to will I think have a negative effect on what one is expecting. But it's just another challenge, and the players sort of, they manage to work these things out, and they manage to get on and just go and deliver what they need to.
Definitely. One challenge I think is also going to be the leadership aspect of it. And Alan Wynne-Jones I think he's colossal for them, and he's been instrumental in so many years. He's pretty much out. How much effect do you think that is going to be negative, from a negative perspective, to try and fill his boots? It's going to be hard for the British and Irish Lions, won't it?
Yeah, I think those are the sort of things that are the moving target. You know, you have players that get injured and they come and go. Whether he stays on with the management and performs a role there, I'm not sure what their thinking is. But he's shown his leadership with Wales, his leadership with the previous Lions tours. He's always been there. And he delivers an element of physicality and an element of sort of a tough guy. So to have someone like Conor Murray who comes in as the new captain now, he adds something else to the situation. I think he's a guy that's got a great feel for the game, and he's a character as well. So he'll bring something else. The Lions management team are a carefully thought out group, and Warren Gatlin's an astute coach. So they're going to be well armed for this one.
Absolutely. And talk about our leader, Sia Kolisi. He's going to be pivotal to breakdown, don't you feel? And he's going to have to lead from the front in that regard as well, because the breakdown is going to be an absolute critical part, as we all know, of the game.
Yeah, it is. I think the breakdown has sort of come into its own a little bit more as time has evolved, with coaches trying to coach away from the breakdown situation rather than creating a situation where you've got an offside line and you've got the rush defense coming off that. So tactically, I think the different coaches will view it in different ways. But the breakdown is an area where you can express your physicality and where if the referees don't get too involved with the carding and the different rules that are there. But yeah, I just think it's going to be such a great series.
Definitely, it's going to be huge. And Nick, I know you played centre, but the number 10 battle is going to be an interesting one, I believe, as well. And I think Andre Pollard is really almost like such a cool head. He's just like got veins of ice. But perhaps maybe in a better space mentally than Dan Bigger and Owen Farrell. Sorry, they're quite critical there. He perhaps has a better mindset than those two guys. I know they're jolly good flyers, don't get me wrong. I think Andre just can handle himself maybe a bit better.
Yeah, I think Andre would be. He's going to play a critical role in the whole series. I think he's got his own challenges, having just come back from injury, so he'll want to get his form to where it was, and yeah, he potentially could be up against a number of different options that the Lions can present. So depending on how they're wanting to play, whichever personnel they're going to put there. So I think his whoever's going to be on his inside and outside from a selection perspective are going to play a critical role. I think from a leadership perspective, he's shown what he's worth. But a lot of the decision making is going to be coming from the outside backs, and to have a guy like Lukanya Am, who's just grown in stature over time, with messages coming from the outside. I think the Springboks are in a really good place as far as their balance between experience and youth is concerned.
Well, there we go. You said it, experience, and maybe you can give us some perspective from a coach's point of view, because two guys, and I think it's good picks in Mornestein and Frans Steyn. Sort of, Dick, what would be the thinking behind that? Why would you bring? And I think it's a good move, but let's hear your perspective. Those two guys back in the squad. What's the thinking behind that?
Yeah, I think we're blessed for choice, with having guys like that have got 2 wins against the British and Irish Lions already under their belts, so that just adds to the experience. Whether they'll fully utilize them, I'm not sure, but you're sort of one injury away from playing, so to be able to fall back on somebody who's been there, done that, as in the position with Andre, I think with France staying, it's a little bit different because France has also got a wealth of experience, but he's so versatile from a playing perspective.
True.
That they could utilize him at 10, 12, 15, and he'll fulfill those positions quite adequately as well.
Yeah, it's going to be good because I think they've got the combinations right in terms of young players and experienced players. It's really, really good. But
I think a guy like a Ruan Pienaar could feel a little bit hard done by. He's got also a wealth of experience. So you don't want to have too many guys that have got all this experience, where you want just a little bit of youth that comes in, and that youth brings some other exciting aspects to the game.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, look, I haven't had time to really analyze and sit down and compare the squads, packs versus pack, backline versus backline. But where do you feel we could have the edge? South Africa could have the edge over the Lions?
I think where we have the edge is obviously number one in the world. The guys would come with a lot of confidence with that. Having guys that have played against the Lions before, that's pretty special as well to be able to have that situation. I think the physicality aspect, South Africa they thrive on the physicality. If you look at what happened in the World Cup, I think South Africa can just grow from what they've achieved already. So yeah, we sit with that. One of the challenges I think that we faced is that this group of players that have assembled, you don't really know what they're going to be bringing, what they're going to be presenting to you. So there's a new dynamic that we're going to be facing, and I think for the Boks is being able to adapt to what they present, and having as much experience as what they have with different personnel that are on top of their game. I think they can offer a variety of different playing styles, challenges in different positions. So I think the balance of the British and Irish Lions squad is an incredible balance, and they can present different challenges to the Boks.
Yeah, this is going to be good because I also believe it could be some players' first and last experience against the British and Irish Lions tour. So it builds up for a really great occasion. So yeah, let's see what happens.
But the frustration is not being able to be there to witness it and see it unfolding. And there's nothing better than watching it live and seeing it as a holistic sort of view as to the unfolding. Yeah,
especially for some people who purposely waited for the 12 years to get a chance to actually watch it now. Me for one. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, it is what it is. But here's an interesting perspective. Like when you played for South Africa, and one game in particular, you played against Scotland, and South Africa won 68-10. Absolute hiding. Now, obviously, the Northern Hemisphere has improved then, but you can't say South Africa hasn't because, as you know, we've ranked first in the world. Does that, in your mind, just show that the Northern Hemisphere has improved that much, especially Scotland, for example? I mean, I don't see us beating them 68-10 anytime soon again. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think those are just moments in time. I think, we were very fortunate. We had a special group of players, and, a guy like Nick Mallet had got the team to gel well. We had some incredible athletes that were part of that squad at the time. The rugby in the Northern Hemisphere has progressed significantly. I think the dawn of the professional era has been better. They've adapted better to it than possibly anybody else. Their rugby has improved. They've had a lot more foreign influence that have gone over there. for instance, coaches, players at the top of their game, nearing the end of their careers. So the game has improved, and it's no longer the game that we played. So when we played, it was probably more a game of 10s rather than a game of 15s, where there's more space and individual skills wise. I think there's a bigger balance that all the individuals have to have, so it's a sort of more multi-skilled than what it was individually skilled at that time.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, it's actually crazy to think that rugby's only been professional for about 25, 26 years now, actually, and it's developed so much. That's an interesting way to look at it. But let's get into a score then. South Africa versus British and Irish Lions tour. Who wins it overall?
Yeah, listen, I think it's just so wide open. I think what one's got to look at is you've got to look at the games that leading up to the test matches. You've got to have a look at what's going to happen with this whole COVID situation and the bubble and whatever else. I think COVID's going to have a part to play in this big thing as well, from an injury. I mean, from a availability perspective, perhaps. Hopefully, they can sort out the bubbles that they have and just have the series be potentially what it can be. I think the British and Irish Lions are probably in a very good position. So they probably the favourites to win this, and it's up for grabs. I just believe if South Africa can adapt to what has been offered from a challenge perspective, South Africa will win it. If we don't adapt soon enough, then the British and Irish Lions will win it.
Sure. Well, all will be revealed soon, but I like your take on the domestic games when they're obviously playing all the franchises here in South Africa. That's going to be good to look at as well and see how they go there. But
I think also they sit with other dynamics. They sit with selection challenges. It's not often that you have as many great players that you have to select from. So selection is a major part of the British and Irish Lions challenge that they're going to have, is to who is the best and what does this one bring versus that one, and what style are we going to play and what are the conditions and so it's going to be just an amazing series.
No, looking forward to it very much so. But Dick, you also coached the Sharks, as we've touched a little bit on domestic rugby. And do you see them as favourites for the Currie Cup this season?
Yeah, I think the Sharks are in a very good place. I think they've got a great squad of players. I think they've had their highs and lows. They're in a rebuild situation, I think, where they've lost some personnel. They've had a couple of personnel changes in their coaching setup. But in general, I think the Sharks are in a very, very good place, and the Currie Cup is wide open for them to win.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good to see. And even after the Olympic Games, I hear there's some coaches that are going to be joining them as well. So they really are, redesigning themselves, I'd say, which you mentioned earlier. But Dick, are you involved in the Sharks Academy at all?
I am. Yeah, so we provide the Sharks Academy with their rugby program. And it's been an incredibly exciting little journey to be back on the field coaching. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm just amazed at what potential talent there is in this country. I do believe that our coaching standards can be lifted, and it would be good if we can concentrate our efforts to make sure that the bar has been lifted across the board from a coaching perspective, particularly at school level. I think there's a lot of work that can be done there for South African rugby.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that a lot of work can be done, but I also feel a lot right has been done in terms of rugby. There seems to be a very good feel-good factor about rugby in South Africa, generally speaking. Um, if I'm wrong, you must tell me. But where do you feel South African rugby is getting it right?
Well, I just think demographics-wise, rugby has come a long way.
Yeah.
And certainly, the number of players that are playing at schoolboy level is incredible. The sad part of it is the drop off after school, which obviously falls into the sort of club academy type space where we're losing far too many players from the game, and that would make rugby that much stronger.
Yeah.
We're also losing a lot of players and personnel to abroad. But again, it's an opportunity. I think it's really a great opportunity for those individuals to be able to get another opportunity and possibly a better opportunity abroad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting times. Very, very interesting. But besides the rugby coaching, I'm sure you keep yourself busy with one or two things. What are you currently involved in, Eddie?
I'm involved in the cannabis industry. So we do medicinal cannabis, and that's a newish industry that's flourishing. So yeah, it's got its challenges, but enjoying it.
No, lovely. And Investec Rugby Academy, are you still involved there at all?
Yeah, so we've got the Academy of Sports. So Investec have withdrawn their sponsorship. So we've got the Academy of Sports, which covers other sporting codes. So we've basically used our rugby and hockey blueprint that we've had, and we've expanded into other sports. But it's more on the developments front. It's about coaching coaches, and it's about empowering them with the knowledge to be able to impart that knowledge onto players. We also deal with a small aspect from a player-based perspective. But for me, the passion is really about, there's no bad coaches out there. They potentially just lack a little bit of knowledge. And it's to be able to share that knowledge and empower other coaches to be able to express themselves.
Excellent.
And a guy like Pieter, I don't know if you've had any chats with him, Ryan, but he's a guy that obviously did incredibly well with the series. He managed the whole situation there, and it was quite a tightly fought contest. That second Test match to win that in the dying minutes, but and to be honest, we didn't really play to our full potential, so you sort of you left with this thing, only if we kind of got it all together. And I'm sure the Lions would feel that only if they'd got it together as well, it would have been that much better. But it's an incredible challenge to be able to work against sort of 4 other nations that are pulled together to be saying, okay, now this is what it's ultimately going to be. But the that support base is sad, and it's very sad for me that we've had to enter into alliance series like this where we haven't got those supporters, and the whole of South Africa is not benefiting from the opportunity that it presents itself, and it's possibly just due to the financial constraints that the sport has right now. We're pressed to go ahead with a tournament like this under these circumstances. But having said that, it's going to be very exciting.
And Murray Mexit, is he still around?
Yeah, Murray's still around. He's in New Zealand. I think he's taking it a little easy.
Okay.
He's involved with the International Rugby Academy in New Zealand.
Right. Okay.
And we were part of that sort of franchise business with with the sharing of knowledge and the expertise. So they've done a lot of work there, and as you've seen, the New Zealand rugby is in a very very good hands for players and coaches from sort of very few people, you know. They don't have the numbers that we have, but they just keep churning it out. And for me, that epitomizes what good coaching does, you know. Good coaching produces good players, and hence the reason for taking on the academy role.
Sure, very, very interesting.
Just on that one, the one question you asked me, you know, whether this is bigger than the Lions series, is bigger than a World Cup. I'm sort of you know, as I was saying, at the World Cup is obviously the ultimate sort of challenge, but you don't get an opportunity to coach against 4 nations, you know, that come together. I'm not sure if the Lions series is, and as you rightfully put it, it only comes about every 12 years, you know, to your country, but it does happen every 4 years. True. So is it bigger? Is it not bigger? Shit, I'm not sure. Eh? What are your thoughts?
I think it's the World Cup is, for example, it's so difficult to win it. Whereas if you lose to the British and Irish Lions, you know, you don't lose a trophy. If you lose out in the World Cup, there's a trophy gone. So perhaps the World Cup has more weight towards it. But in the same breath, if I'm 30 years of age and I get picked for the Springboks to play against the British and Irish Lions, that's my one opportunity. I won't get it again, you know, because 12 years ago, I'll be 42. It's a tough one. It really is a tough one to see which one is. But I mean, the World Cup, you know, since we've won the World Cup, we've stayed number 1 since that. It sets you on another elevation. Meet the British and Irish Lions. It's a great feeling. It's awesome. But does it help our world rankings? To a certain degree, it does, I guess. I don't know. It's the World Cup that wonders for us. It's a tough one.
Yeah, so I suppose if you're looking at rankings, then yeah, it's probably it doesn't have sort of that much clout to it. But as far as playing against sort of the rest of the world,
you're pretty much playing, you
know. Well, so I suppose not the rest of the world, but it's
major rugby nations.
Yeah, if you have a look at what it meant to a guy like Sinclair, you know, who was left out of the squad and then brought back into the squad, is you can be chosen for your country, and but to be chosen for the British and Irish Lions is like a real one step up from that, you know. We're playing for South Africa, you don't have anything more to aspire towards, you know. If there was like a Southern Hemisphere Tri-Nations sort of select team, then you could always aspire to that, you know.
So from that point of view, if I'm British and Irish, if I don't make it, you know, at 28 years of age, 4 years down the line, I could get selected for the British and Irish Lions tour again. I could, because they're going to Australia in 2025.
Correct.
Whereas for South Africans, Australians, New Zealanders, it's so difficult because you are, unless you're like a France Stain, you might get to play against them 3 times. Well, not quite 3 times, twice. It's maybe a bit more precious for the South Africans because of that 12-year gap. But for the British and Irish Lions guys, they might get a chance every 4th year. So, it's it's an interesting dynamic. Yeah.
Okay. Listen, right. Not getting it.
Well, I think it's been really good to get your perspective and find out about what you've been up to. And obviously the big one, the British and Irish Lions tour. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the chat. Really, really appreciate it.
Pleasure, Ryan. Have a lucky day.
Thank you so much for your time, Vic.
Pleasure.